This is a bit more comfy than the last
It sure
time
is.
we did it. Hi.
Hi babe.
Okay, ready, let's do this. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. So, a while ago now I asked you for some questions for me and G, my boyfriend, to answer. This is your first proper sit down main video.
Yeah, no toasties in sight.
It's a bit more intimidating than my normal vlog camera.
Yes.
Because we've got a ring light. I asked over on Instagram stories if you guys had any questions for us and we're going to answer them today. So, should we get straight to it?
Hit me with it.
Oh, I should also say that the reason I wanted to do this is because it was our 1 year anniversary a month ago now, and I wanted to do this as a commemoration for that. So the first question, and I got quite a few of these questions, but the question was, what was wrong with the first take? Because this is actually the second time we are filming this video. The setting was just, it wasn't working, it looked a bit cold, we weren't very comfortable.
I was sat cross-legged on the floor, very uncomfortable, like in someone else's house. I look really awkward. More awkward than this.
It's really endearing, actually.
The plant was stuck in your hair for the whole thing.
Yeah. Person than your average Tinder buy. It was just not the best video. So that was a warm-up. Let's start with an easy one. How did you guys meet?
We met on Hinge, a dating app that forces you to actually pay attention to the profiles. I hadn't been using it very long. I don't know how long you've been on it.
Long time.
But we matched while I was in New York on a work trip, and I think I messaged you first.
Quickly organised a date.
Quickly organised a date, yeah. You were no messing around, all business.
No.
When are we going on a date?
Yeah.
And that was it.
I don't know, I really hate small talk, so having to have a conversation with someone for a really long time just to work out, I'd rather just go on a date, know immediately if we've got a connection, and then rather than spend weeks talking and investing time in a person and then them not being...
Yeah.
I really did like G's intro message to me, because it was like, "Hi Katie Snooks, I'm away on business at the moment in New York, but I'll let you know when I get back." And then you sent another one being like, that sounds like some weird dating out of office, and that really made me giggle. So immediately I was like, oh, you're really funny. And similarly, how was your first date like?
Fucking hell. Our first date was great, wasn't it? It was very low key. It was just in a cool little bar in Dalston called Fars
School of Dancing.
Which is kind of cool. It's got theatre seats for chairs and
brick walls.
Yeah, it looks like it's been abandoned and someone's just moved in with a bar, so one of those kind of cool hipstery places.
Right on my street.
But yeah, it's cool because you were just like, I'll be happy with anything, I'm not fancy, just let's have a nice chill drink, which was perfect.
Cheap date.
Yeah, cheap date, which is perfect just to get to know someone rather than trying to go all flashy.
And it was an amazing first date, wasn't it?
Yeah,
I remember at the time there was wasn't there a comedy night downstairs or something?
Yeah.
And some guy was like, "Oh, you guys come down, we're going to be doing live comedy." And we were like, "Oh, we're enjoying this a bit too much to want to stop talking."
Yeah, we just wanted to keep talking and chatting, didn't we?
Yeah, it was lovely.
And you tried to match me gin for gin. I didn't know you were a lightweight at this point, so I kept getting gin and tonics when I ran out, and you just go, "Oh yeah, I'll have a gin."
I was so drunk.
But you hid it really well, unbeknownst to me, you were just smashed.
And then we had our first kiss!
She pounced on me.
Someone said, "Have you said you love each other yet?"
No, we haven't yet. I like her a lot.
Someone's going to take that really seriously.
I'm very fond of you.
Your favourite thing about each other, and what do you like most about each other? There's quite a few of those.
My favourite thing about you is your sensitivity, I think. Because you take things to heart, you think really deeply about stuff, you care about other people, you put other people's feelings ahead of yours, you cry at adverts, and anything that's sort of slightly moving, you'll sort of well up at, which is really sweet.
Do you think?
Yeah, it's cute, and you'll just, everything sort of hits home and you feel deeply about, which is really nice.
It's really interesting that you say that, because I've always been made to feel in previous relationships like my sensitivity is a bad thing, and that it's always been kind of used against me.
The good side of being sensitive completely outweighs any bad side of being sensitive. And how can you be, maybe you can be too sensitive, you could cry at I don't know, a leaf falling off a tree, that might be a bit much. But
I would totally do that.
It's the end of autumn. Yeah, I think your sensitivity It shines through. That was my favourite thing.
My favourite thing about you, in a way, it's just like your easiness to talk to and the fact you get on with everyone. There's so many things, like you're not intimidated by people ever, you're a great wingman, you get on amazingly with my friends and my family, and that's like those things are really important to me. But also you're just really open and kind and just a really nice human being.
Thanks. How sickly is this?
If your other half had to be an animal, which one would you say most suits them?
Great question.
I'd say you were either a house cat, because you're like
super lazy.
no, it's like you're nice to cuddle and like you're happy to just sit on my lap, but then you're also a little bit independent as well and like have your own stuff going on. Either that or a little monkey because you're cheeky. That. Yeah.
You'd be that little animal that we saw on the programme yesterday.
What with a big nose?
What was it? It was like a little African desert mouse.
It was an elephant shrew.
Elephant shrew. Which sounds horrendous, but it's like a tiny cute little mouse thing with a very cute face. And like a little bit kind of twitchy and like a little bit like sensitive to its surroundings, but also cute as fuck. Definitely cuddle it. And it was caring, wasn't it? It was like looking after its young and stuff. It was brave. It it was so brave. It like lured this massive lizard thing away from its young.
Yeah, it died.
Yeah, it sacrificed us.
Oh, it sacrificed.
But it was brave, so brave, and just fucking cute.
Aww,
cute and
brave.
Cute, but like kind of twitchy and brave.
How do you both do the housework? Is it an even split?
Kind of don't.
We don't split the housework.
Well, no, we kind of don't do any.
I think you're a lot tidier than me. So, like, when you take your clothes off, like, you put them in the wash or you fold them up and put them back again. I have a floor robe going on.
Yeah.
Actually, one thing that I really like about you, like, we'll cook dinner, but G doesn't like having, like, dirty plates. Like, he'd rather just get it over and done with after. So, as soon as we cook dinner and eat it, like, immediately we're in the kitchen, we're both like we both do it together,
yeah,
don't we?
do it together.
It makes me happy. No,
People need to
it's
know
nice because I don't know about you, but in previous relationships it's been like a proper nagging situation and it's really difficult, yeah, if the other person doesn't pull their weight.
I think it's just pretty even. We just tidy up if it's a massive mess, and
yeah, and we get a cleaner.
We've got a cleaner who comes in every other week, which is good. But like washing, like you'll put a load on, I'll put a load on.
Yeah.
We don't talk about it or have a rota, we just sort of do it, don't we?
Yeah. What movie star do you think your partner looks like? I've got one for you, if you got one for me.
Well, yours is easy because I think you look like Emilia Clarke.
Ah, I wasn't expecting that.
I thought that's quite an easy one.
Ah. I would say that you look like, I really think.
I know what you're going to say, this is nonsense. This is crazy. Love is blind.
I really think you look like Bradley Cooper. Without his glasses on, he has the exact same face as Bradley Cooper. I'm not even joking. It's great. I love it. It's the big blue eyes. Do you like astrology and what are your signs? I find it quite interesting. You don't believe in any of it.
I don't. I'm a massive skeptic on everything.
One of our first ever arguments was about ghosts, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was, yeah.
Which sounds ridiculous.
That might be the most ridiculous argument I've ever had.
Yeah. You've ever had in your life?
Maybe.
We're going to get into an argument
here
because
I'm
like...
My default position on most things is sceptical and I need to be proved otherwise. I don't know where that comes from. Maybe it's like a science thing.
But I'm a Leo and he's a Pisces, and when we first got together, I did a compatibility test online and it said that we were really not compatible and that I was going to completely over-dominate you in every sense of...
In bed, wasn't it?
Yeah, basically it said you're not going to get on because the Leo's going to force the Pisces into bed and they're not going to like that. So maybe that means astrology isn't real because we beat the odds of that. Would you ever start a YouTube channel?
No one would watch that.
I would. What was G's experience of online dating? I really like this question because you guys watching my channel, you got to hear about my experience with online and app dating from a girl's perspective, which is probably quite similar to your own. But to hear a guy's perspective, I think is really quite interesting.
That's such a big question.
Was it easy to get dates?
No, probably not. I think it's as easy for guys to get dates as girls to get dates. Like girl friends that I have, when you talk to them about the number of like people, guys that actually sort of swipe right on them or message them, it always way outnumbers the number of times a guy will match with someone. That's
quite interesting to me because that kind of shows that if girls were to ask guys out, then they wouldn't necessarily refuse, right?
Oh no, girls will have loads of success if they ask guys out.
So I think that shows that we should be like, girls should be a little bit more brave when it comes to making that first move.
Definitely.
That's why I was always like, right, let's just get a date in the diary straight away.
Yeah, or just making it obvious that you might fancy the person or something is enough to give a guy a bit of confidence to start chatting or whatever. Yeah, definitely a bit harder, but being in London, it's not that hard. And like when I lived up north on dating apps, it was very, very difficult. Having used them for years, it is a kind of disposable thing of just, let's tee up a date and go on a date and see how it goes. So I think the first couple of dates I had in London, it was a bit of a shock when it was a case of getting ghosted or like them not replying to messages or whatever, which sounds depressing, but that is just the way it is. Like to me, ghosting's not that bad. Being ghosted doesn't feel that bad because you know right from the start that, okay, well, they're not interested. I would rather that as a guy.
You would rather be ghosted than be said, oh, I don't think we're suitable?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Really?
Well, maybe not after, if we've been dating a while. Like, I don't want to be ghosted after like 6 dates. But after after the first date, I think from an ego point of view, if someone just went, I just don't fancy you.
I don't know if it's different for guys, but for girls, we really make that a thing about ourselves. It's our fault that that person didn't fancy us.
One girl once say, you're really attractive and we got on really well, but you're just not my type. And that is like, well, hang on a minute. If you were to be like, I had a really good time and you were really funny and had a good laugh.
But a romantic spot.
But what that means is, but I just don't find you attractive. Right? But you're just not fanciable. And that is like...
Yeah, it's an interesting one.
I don't know, there's grey areas and everyone's going to be different, but getting used to the kind of not taking ghosting seriously, I think is my point. You can get a bit too used to it, the online dating, because you could end up with like 3 or 4 dates a week, and then it's just a bit too much. It's too much to manage. There's a lot of admin.
So much
admin. It was quite good fun when I had friends on dating apps as well, because then you can share experiences and of dating stories. I used to go for brunch with a friend of mine every Sunday. We can compare war stories and stuff and chat about it. But I think like kind of learning to just enjoy it and enjoy meeting new people and having new experiences and being new to a city, going on dating apps, find so many places, bars, restaurants, whatever, that used to go, okay, well, that didn't lead to anything, but now I've got a new restaurant in the back pocket.
Love that, yeah. G, did you find it hard at first that Katie vlogs about your life together? And how are you adjusting to having a more public, private life on the internet? And what did you think when you found out Katie did YouTube? Do you know what I'm getting at? These kind of questions.
Yeah, I get what you're getting at. How do I feel about this situation?
What was your reaction when Katie told you about her job?
Cool. Okay, so...
There's loads more of those.
I knew kind of what influencers and content creators were, but didn't follow any, didn't know what it was about, didn't know how popular they were, didn't really have any frame of reference for it, so I didn't really understand it. When you told me what you did, I thought it was cool, but like that might have added to a bit of a feeling of it'd be quite difficult to like win you over, if you like. Do you know what I mean? Like, how do you compete with someone who's got thousands of followers and that must be going to very cool events and always be around people that must want your attention or those sorts of things?
It's not like that at all.
So I thought, I guess much harder to win your affections, knowing when you told me that. There was an element of like not knowing if that meant your whole life was completely open, and if I was to get involved, it would be
Were you worried about that?
Whole life laid bare.
Yeah.
Yeah, it crossed my mind. But then, like when I got to know you, it didn't take long to realise that you're just not like that at all. And when we did start dating, you were very conscious of me being in your stuff, and we talked about that. And you would always, if I did happen to be in your content, even if it was like just in the background, you would always like run the clip by me to make sure I was okay with it. So it became very clear that you were bothered about my privacy.
Yeah, for sure.
So that was fine. Yeah, getting to know you and know what type of person you are, it just was obvious that it wasn't going to be an issue. But also it was such a gradual thing, getting into your content. So
I didn't show you for the first, at least 3 months, your face wasn't in any of my content.
Yeah.
You were kept a little bit private.
Then it all just happened very kind of gradually anyway. And it felt quite natural, if you weren't a blogger, you would take a picture of us going out and put it on your Instagram stories.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like, you're doing something new here where we're on stage.
Yeah.
And you would get your camera out. You get it out so infrequently, and it's only to take like short clips of stuff that doesn't feel like this, where you have to like set up a set something up and then film it, so it didn't feel like a big thing.
Didn't you say as well that sometimes you'd watch a vlog back and then you'd be like, oh, I didn't even know you were filming that, like it was that
That'd
kind
be
of
like
discreet.
in your daily things sometimes be like, oh, I didn't realise that you filmed this thing. I feel totally fine being in your content because I know that you would never just, I know you'd never put anything out there that if you felt I might feel a bit weird about it.
Oh, absolutely not.
So
no.
I feel,
You're
I feel,
like most important.
I feel I'd like trust you 100% to edit something and decide on what to show and what not to show.
Did either of you think she could be the one after the first date?
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah.
I've got a text from my mum on the first date I went to the loo. It was like 8:30 I went to the loo. I text my mum, I'm in love.
We're in love, you said.
Oh, I said we're in love.
Like if the one exists, I felt it. Like I definitely like. No, do you mean like what does that actually mean? Is that such a thing?
Yeah.
But I definitely left that date feeling like I'll be gutted if we don't see each other again. And there was such a long time between the first and second date. I did remember thinking like, yeah, how do I keep this going and that we do meet again? Because it definitely felt different to any other date.
I'd never had a date like that.
Yeah, same.
And it just felt really different. I can't even describe it.
Yeah.
So that leads us on to a couple of questions we had, which were like, what's been your favourite date together, and also best brunch places you've been to.
Best brunch place is really easy because we've just been there.
Literally just got back from it.
Brunswick East in Dalston is awesome. It's a little restaurant off a courtyard and it's really simple. It's like all chipboard tables, looks super basic and kind of cool, but the food is just phenomenal.
Isn't it like Australian?
Yeah, it's not run by two sisters, I think, who are Australian.
There's loads of like vegan options and good coffee, and they do nice cakes. I would also throw in there the Garrison we used to go to all the time
Garrison's
for brunch.
awesome.
In Bermondsey Street. It's like a nice pub. They do good roast as well on a Sunday.
Yeah.
And also the Watchtower, or is it the Watch House? The Watch House on Chad Thames in London Bridge.
Yes. Yeah, that's so good.
Love that spot for amazing brunch.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember the one in Wandsworth Town, but I can't remember.
But I haven't been there. So that doesn't count. And then best date that we've ever been on. G and I do a thing, if you watch my weekly vlogs, where we do secret dates for each other. It was something you introduced me to, where we'll literally book a secret date and the other person won't know what it is or where we're going until we get there. And we've done so many of them now, and they've all been so much fun.
Any that spring to mind?
Yes.
The one that you organised was like a 1920s speakeasy thing.
Immersive theatre
gig and dinner. But it was like a 1920s speakeasy vibe, so it was in an old like warehouse that they'd done up. There was a bar and like a jazz singer and sat down meal. Everyone was dressed up in like 1920s, like gangster suits and stuff.
We got to dress up, which was fun.
That was amazing. I really enjoyed the St Paul's lakes.
Yeah.
St Paul's Cathedral lakes, they opened, so you could go up and like watch the sunset from the balcony of the dome. That was great.
These are all in weekly vlogs. I'll leave those links to the weekly vlogs down below so you can watch us on those dates.
What else?
I quite like the one we went to last week, the circus one in Leicester Square. We went to see
La Clique.
Le Clique.
That was awesome.
Like a kind of like a sexy burlesque cabaret circus with really cool like acts. Circus like you've never seen it before. Our first secret date.
First ever Muppets Christmas Carol on a roof in Camden.
Yeah, and it was like cold and we were drinking mulled wine and we had a blanket and it was the first secret date, so that was really
that was nice.
Really nice and romantic. I'm gonna actually do a blog post of all the dates we've been on. Might take me a while, but I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna start a dating recommendation bit section on my blog and IGTV. We have had so many questions about our height difference. So many questions. People being like, do you guys ever joke about the height difference? I'm 4'11" and G is 6'3".
Yeah. So
it's quite a big height difference, but we fit very nice.
You were a little bit conscious of it at first, weren't you? You were a bit self-conscious about it.
The first time I went on a date with G that I wasn't wearing like big heeled boots and just trainers, I was a bit nervous, like what you were going to think. But we've never literally ever had a problem.
It's fine. It's totally fine. Don't think about it.
How did you know it was the right time to move in together?
Oh yeah, because people think it's too quick or something.
A lot of people thought we moved in too quick, and I guess it was quick.
It was less than a year, wasn't it?
9 months.
It felt right, and that was it really. It didn't put any more pressure on it than that.
When you get to a certain age, I think
Yeah.
both of us really knew what we did want from a relationship, what we didn't want. And so when we met each other, I guess our whole relationship has moved a little bit faster than normal, but because we've dated and we know what, we
Know
knew
what
that.
want. I don't think you ever really will know anyone that well enough until you move in.
Yeah, I remember one of my mates saying like, oh, don't you want to wait a while? And I was like, if we're going to do it, we're going to do it. Like, why would we wait a year and a half and then move in and then realise we're not right? Like, do you know what I mean?
You know, I've dated people where you just don't feel that urge or want to move in with them. But with you, it just felt like, well, I think it'll be easy. And I was either staying at yours or you were staying at mine all the time. So yeah, it was sort of fine. And we talked a little bit about it as well, of that, because you're quite an introverted, private person in a lot of ways, and I am as well. Like, we both like our own space. So we did talk about that, and we talked about having like an office for you where you can do your thing and I'll be able to do my thing with my music and stuff.
Yeah.
That idea of giving each other space as well, and how important that would be. Like, I think if at any point I thought, oh, that could be a bit difficult if we lived together, then we wouldn't have suggested it.
What makes us work very well is that we are very open and very honest with each other. It's just a very adult relationship. Does the impression of the other one from first date match how the person is now? Like, what was your first impression of me and how does it differ to now?
First impressions from profile was, it was just very attractive. You seemed sort of quite fun and very confident. Thought you might have been a bit high maintenance, I think. I don't know why I got that impression. Maybe just because you're very attractive and blonde and like you dress well. That's just a stereotype that maybe I'm just used to, so I thought maybe a little bit difficult, but thought it could be good fun on a date. Then when I met you, you still came across very, very confident, I think. Put me on the back foot a bit, which I don't normally get in dates.
So what does that mean, on the back foot?
On the back foot, like maybe a little bit nervous and like kind of wanting to impress a bit and not being completely cool and like blasé, which I think I kind of got used to doing on dates because you don't have anything invested in it. You were much more attractive in real life than your pics. So that was a bit of a intimidating thing. That put me on the back foot, like, okay, I really like this girl, but I need to kind of impress her.
That's really interesting, I didn't know that.
And then you just came across as very lovely and thoughtful and I guess open and not like afraid to say silly stuff. Like, you didn't like watch what you said or like second guess what you were going to say. You were just, you're completely yourself, which normally things like Chris Rock said, Chris Rock said, when you go on a first date, you meet the other person's representative.
Yeah.
And like, I didn't get that impression at all. It was just definitely you.
I totally think if you take the pressure off that date being the one, then you can be more of yourself. Like, you don't really care as much. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And also, I think I was a bit of a first date pro. Like, I just got so used to it. But as soon as I met you, I was immediately like, I really, really like this guy. Like, my first impressions of your profile was, like, he looks really quirky, nice smile. You had a picture with one of your mates' sons on your shoulders, on your shoulder.
You were dreaming with a cute kid.
Yeah. I was like, so he gets on well with like kids and that, like stupid stuff like that. And then when I met you, my first impressions were quite tall, but like a proper gentleman and a really nice guy. I actually had no idea that you like fancied me or thought I was attractive either. I just thought this guy's a really nice guy and he would be a really nice guy to anyone regardless of whether he like fancied them or not.
Yeah, I would.
G seems very comfortable with the camera and social media. Did he get used to it or is he a natural?
I think this probably proves I'm not.
Oh, I think you're coming across really well. Much better, less awkward than the first one we did.
I think I'm properly awkward when it comes to being in front of the camera.
But you're so confident in real life, so it's...
I'm not though.
Oh, I think you are.
No, it's all an act.
And could you talk about the age gap? Does it influence much? Again?
Yeah, I don't know if like someone 39 and someone who's 31, I don't know if that age gap is that pronounced as it would be if it was 8 or 9 years in your 20s. If I was 30 and you were 21, then I think that would be quite a big age gap, and I think it would be an issue.
I've done that though.
You've done that.
Yeah.
I've done that as well, but the other way around. So I think maybe it's just a different thing when you get a bit older. Although, like, my knees hurt more than yours.
Would you get a pet together?
Yes.
I'd love a pet more than anything. I'd love a little cat.
I'd like a cat. We're definitely more cat people than dog people as well. That's important. Yeah, I'd only want a cat over a dog because dogs are a bit more high maintenance.
You've got to think about high maintenance.
Yeah, they need a lot more looking after. A cat's really independent, it'll do its own thing. No more hamsters, because they die really quickly.
And I get too attached.
You get so attached. And they're just like...
No, I love them, babe. I would totally get a hamster. If we're not going to get a cat, I'm going to get a hamster.
We're getting a cat then.
Cat, you're going to get me a cat for Christmas?
I would never, I thought about how I would get you a cat if I was to get you a cat, but I wouldn't want to choose it without you.
Oh no, you'd have to choose. You could get me a cat coupon.
Yeah.
There's one here about, are you each other's types, or were you each other's types? Because we had this conversation very early on.
I genuinely don't think I've got a type.
I asked you what your type was, and you said party, like...
Oh, I think I was being flippant though. I wasn't,
Oh, okay.
yeah, that isn't my type. Like what I was saying was, previously I'd been attracted to girls with a bit of an edge and like party girls and ones that were a bit like emotionally unavailable because it's a challenge and anything can happen and whatever, you get like wrecked on a weekend or whatever. So I think I was attracted to that. That was a very negative thing for me, and then it was a negative attraction.
When you first said that to me, I had a bit of a freak out because I was like, I'm not a party animal and
Yeah.
I'm very emotionally available.
Yeah, but that's
so
what
we
I
had
really...
a bit of a like,
But that's what I really liked about you. That's why we went on dates, because I realised that, well, because I knew that's what you were like. And at that point, after dating so much, I kind of realised that that's exactly what I want. I want someone who's nice, emotionally available, wears a heart on their sleeve, is open.
Yeah.
All of those things is just lovely. I realised that's kind of what I wanted and deserve now. It wasn't like I met you in the hope that, like, a bit out of control.
But maybe I came across like that in my profile, right?
Maybe.
Which was quite interesting.
Yeah. And your type is like dishevelled surfer dude.
No, you always say that. You always say
Which
I've
I'm not.
never fancied a surfer dude, ever.
Dishevelled though.
A bit
Long hair
dishevelled. Just a bit shaggy, like a bit.
You said to me that your friends would describe your type as
My
a guy,
previous partners as.
a guy who looked like he'd been dragged through a hedge backwards.
But also, I've got a real thing for geeky looking guys like Ben Whishaw and Iwan Lorowan. And I think you perfectly fit into that category of
geek.
I just love it. And I think that's what initially
Ah.
was, why I was attracted to you.
So I am your type then?
Oh,
so
absolutely.
you do have a type?
I think you are my type,
Ah.
yeah.
Well, you're my type, but I don't think I've got a type. I'm just very attracted to this whole
Aw.
Snoops thing.
How do you feel when you share sex content?
I think at first I felt it was a little bit difficult to get used to. But
Yeah.
that's my own hang-ups and my own like insecurities that were coming out about that. But I'm very keen for you to ignore my feelings when it comes to your content, because it's your job.
Yeah, it's work.
You don't tell me how to run a pitch
No.
or whatever. So
And I think also I've proven that I'm not going to be vulgar with it in any way.
yeah, you're much more vulgar when the cameras are turned off. So yeah, it's something I did have to get used to, I think, but that wasn't anything to do with you or what you were doing, because that is perfectly normal and there shouldn't be a taboo around it, and it's brilliant what you're doing to kind of take those down. It was just an introspective thing of like, I need to just get a grip and like get a handle on my own insecurities.
It's got to be hard. Like, I do
But
appreciate
yeah,
that
it was. It wasn't just like, oh yeah, great, just
No.
do whatever. But
I quite like this question. How do you resolve conflict? Because this video is going to be so long. Maybe I should split it into 2 parts. Because I know that. I just think when you're in an unhealthy relationship, it can be so difficult to resolve conflict if the other person isn't open and willing to like understand how you're feeling or take responsibility for that. I think this is the most adult relationship I've ever had, because we really talk about things. I'm still getting used to opening up if something upsets me.
yeah.
And we never like argue or shout at each other, but we do.
No, it's never like nasty.
No.
It's always a kind of just a bit of like an upset disagreement or something, isn't it? But
it just takes us talking to each other
Yeah.
properly and properly trying to understand how each other's feeling.
we take responsibility for the conflicts too much. So yeah,
Which is a
we'll
problem.
try and own it too much. But then we always just end up talking it out, don't we?
Oh, always. We've never like gone to bed angry at each other or.
Like, I think respect is the big thing.
Oh,
That's what always got me about people that argue and shout and scream and like throw insults and plates. It's like it shows a bit of a lack of respect, and I think if respect is
if it goes
eroded, then it's very difficult to recover from. Whereas we take each other's sadness or happiness completely to heart,
Yeah,
and so
we
we
do.
just want to try and resolve it and talk it through.
We're both very sensitive people,
Yeah.
I think, and we're both very like.
We ruminate and think about stuff all the time.
Both of us overthink things, I think.
Yeah, just keep talking.
Do you both get along well with each other's families?
Yeah, no, your family's great. They're going to watch this, so they're brilliant. No, genuinely have a lot of time for your folks.
We met each other's families really quickly.
Third date.
G met my entire family.
That is like throwing me in at the deep end, isn't it?
Yeah, proper.
Sink or swim.
I gave you the option, and I met your family 2 months into our relationship.
Yeah,
and
sure.
at the time, wasn't your dad like, oh, like, didn't he say something like, oh, this is a bit soon?
Well, because
what did he say?
Because I suggested you come up to Yorkshire with me, where my folks where my folks live. Yeah, come and stay with my folks for a few days. So yeah, my folks were like, cool. They were like, yeah, fine, of course, bring her. We'd love to meet her. But yeah, my dad was like, oh, that's soon, isn't it?
That freaked me out.
Not in a way like, well, I don't think you should do that, or we don't want to meet her, but just like, oh, you've never done this before, sort of thing.
When you told me that, I was like, oh my god, his parents hate me already. But they're like they're the loveliest people ever. We've had some really good like holidays away with them and stuff, so that's been nice. At what point did you both decide to stop dating other people?
Well, after the first date. For me, because I went away for a few days after, didn't I? And it was going to be like 15 days before we saw each other, and I thought, well, I want to see how it goes with you. And then after the second date, I will definitely.
Really? I remember it was on like our 5th date or someone that you literally, on the date, G got his phone out and he was like, he literally deleted his apps right in front of me then and there on the date.
Yes, you didn't.
I didn't. I was like, no, I'm not doing that yet. I don't know. I don't know why. I was still doing my dates with Kate videos at the time, so if I was to delete them there and then I needed the content. Yeah, that was a really nice moment though. That was the same night that we had a conversation, and I was trying to tell G how much I liked him without deleting the apps.
But you accidentally dumped me.
G thought I was dumping him, but I was trying to tell him how much I really liked him. I was saying something like, I basically said I wouldn't delete my dating apps for any old person. Like they'd have to be really the right person.
Oh, that was it. Yeah, because I deleted the apps. You didn't, and then you said I wouldn't delete my apps for
any old person. Like they'd have to be someone very, very special for me.
Exactly. So I was thinking, well, she hasn't deleted her apps.
Oh no!
And I've just made this big gesture about deleting them. You haven't done that. And now you're telling me this, so I was like, okay, yeah, so this is over. That
was me basically trying to say, I like you this much, I will do that. Oh no, I feel really bad. Then we didn't actually become official for like a month after.
But like, what is that? What does that mean? What is that? Become like saying it out loud?
Well, it's nice to know where you stand, isn't it? It's nice to put a label. It is nice to put a label on
But we also did know that neither of us were dating other people and that we were exclusive and stuff. We knew that.
Yeah, so straight after the date with you, that was it. Yeah. I didn't go on any more dates with other people.
Yeah, and I wasn't like scared you were still dating. So it wasn't like I had to say, right, so we're official now. So just to be clear.
Any pet names for each other? Babe.
Cuttlefish.
Cuttlefish.
My little cuttlefish. Gorge. Short for gorgeous, but gorge is like a massive hole in the ground, isn't it?
I don't like that.
It? Sorry. No, gorgeous. Yeah.
Babe, just both.
Just both. Anything that you can see, just say that. Like chicken feet.
Chicken feet. Honey pie. How many serious relationships has G had in the past, or do you not discuss past relationships? We've discussed them. I think it's normal to discuss them. Yeah. Isn't it?
How many serious ones?
Yeah.
3.
Not including me.
Not including you.
What do you class as serious? Together more than a year, or?
That's a good question, isn't it?
Or is it saying I love you? Is that what you class as serious?
Don't know. What would you class as serious?
What I'd class as serious is saying I love you.
Okay, then 3. What about you?
I've said I love you to 3 people apart from you.
Oh, even,
but one of them was really awful. One of them only lasted 6 months, and it was the worst. Seriously, like, ruined my confidence and was really, really like unhealthy. It wasn't a good relationship.
Yeah, only 3. Is that it?
Yeah, finally. Fucking hell, it's been 2 hours.
Has it?
Well, it's 5 o'clock.
Whoa.
I really hope you guys have enjoyed this video.
Do me pestering you annoy you?
No, I love it. I hope you never stop pestering me. Your thing is really cold. Thank you so much, you guys, for watching. If you'd like any more, send any more questions. Leave us a comment down below. That's a bit annoying. Have you enjoyed this experience?
It's been alright. Thanks.
Do you feel like
Thanks
it's
for
gone-
having me.
Do you feel like it's gone better than the last one?
Yes. 100 times
The
better.
glass of wine helped. Yeah, love you guys lots and see you next week.